Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problem, best solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. We are back. You got me there. All right, Mr. Allen, how are you, sir?
Back to the lovely towers, huh?
We are back here a little bit late here this Wednesday afternoon, warm Wednesday afternoon. I'm your host, Mr. Alex Alanis, here on the Real Estate Rant, here at the Rant Radio Network, the Towers.
Of the Rant Radio Network.
Yeah, the stomping grounds, right? We get that a lot. I'm your host, Mr. Alex Alanis, and to my left here, my broker, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez. ¿Cómo está, señor?
A man of many talents, may I add.
I do apologize for being a little bit late. I got stuck in traffic. Give us a call, 855-693-4897, or you can email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com. In-house today, we have Mr. Fernando Alvarado, licensed electrician. How are you, sir?
Welcome, Mr. Fernando.
You know what, Fernando, if you can do me a favor, just pull the mic up to you there, and you can turn it down a little bit there too, that way you're comfortable. Although I'm not picking them up at all, Mr. Pantalones. You have the opportunity to win a $25 gift card here at the Real Estate Rant at Stevens Steakhouse. Mr. Pantalones, if you will, can we do a mic check real quick?
One, two.
All right. It's because I'm not picking up. Okay, thank you, sir. And okay, so anyway, we do have a $25 gift card available from Stevens Steakhouse, compliments of Carlos Cruz and the Downey Chamber of Commerce, or you can win a $200 teeth whitening at Gardens Dental, 7218 Garfield Avenue in the city of Bell Gardens. If you happen to give us a call, 855-693-4897, you can give us a call and you can win one of those gift cards. If you happen to have a question for myself, Alonso, or in-house today, Mr. Fernando, you can give us, any one of us, a question, and you can win one of those gift cards. Every week, you can email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com, and Mr. Alonso usually gets those emails. What did we get this week, Mr. Alonso?
This week's question comes out of Mary out of Costa Mesa, and it says, it reads, how do I know if I'm ready to buy a home?
I don't know if I'm ready. That's a tough question.
Well, I mean, first we got to lay out all the obvious ones. Does she have a stable job with the first part?
Is this a single person? Or
it's
married person?
It's a single person. I'm assuming it just says Mary out of Costa Mesa. It doesn't have it doesn't state if she's married, single, or divorced, widowed, or what. So
was that the gist of the question?
No, well, yeah, that's a question, and I mean, how does one know when they're ready to buy a home?
It's usually a financial decision, I would say. Typically, when you're ready to buy a home, which means that you have the money to put down, you have the stable job, you have
record of good bill paying.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
The credit history.
You've got the credit history. That would be a good time. Typically, the reason why you would want to buy a home is because you want to try and build equity in property, use leverage in order to do that, and you do that through financing. You borrow money, to buy a home, and you hope that it goes up in value, so you leverage the monies that way.
One of the most important thing is do they have the sufficient down payment that's required nowadays, and also the ability to pay the mortgage every month, plus additional cost of owning a home. They always come with if it has a pool, the pool man, the gardener, which sometimes we tend to overlook. And those are questions you should ask yourself. And if you answer yes to any of those questions, then I'm assuming you are ready to buy a home.
Yeah, well, the other part of that too is repair costs. A lot of times when you go into a property, it's not exactly what you want. You want to, change the landscape. You want to change things about it. You want to make it your own. And those are expenses that you have to think about when you're buying a piece of property. So, if you're not ready to do that, then maybe you're not ready to buy a house.
Absolutely. And I mean, just my advice, you got to outweigh the difference of what it's costing you a month to rent wherever you're renting. And then on top of that, put, what you're going to pay a little extra for owning a home. And if it makes sense, then why not? You're going to invest in something that's going to bring you equity in the future, and it might be a good idea.
Okay. I was looking at some of these other questions that we got emails on, and the last question actually looks kind of intriguing. Would you like to share that one with us, Alonso?
the one that comes out of Alexis out of Orange County.
Yeah, this one here.
It says, "Do I need a lawyer to buy a home?" It's from Alexis from Orange County. And
Do you want to take that one?
well, I mean, it varies in states. There's some states that require you to have a lawyer. It's always a smart idea to get a lawyer to read your contracts. You know, it's something you might want to invest in a lawyer. Not necessarily is it required in California. In California, as long as you are being helped with the licensed realtor, that should be sufficient. But in order for you to have an extra peace of mind and you want to go the extra leg, I may say, then yes, I'm gonna get a lawyer to make sure that I'm understanding the contract.
Pierna from our side of town, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to be aware of everything that is on your contract, and the lawyer can explain that to you, and let you know of any hidden agendas I might add that or difficult to understand situations written in the contract where they can probably explain it to you better than a realtor can in plain English.
Well, exactly. That's what I tell my clients. I always tell them, you know what? I'm not a lawyer, but I can read English, right? And it's just as simple as just reading the contracts. There's 14 pages on the RPA or the residential purchase agreement, as well as the buyer's inspection advisory. It's kind of tight reading. The fonts are fairly small, but it might take you, I don't know, maybe a couple of hours to read those 14 pages, maybe less, just depending. Yeah. But I always advise to anyone signing these contracts definitely to read them, read what you're signing, because even agents are not attorneys, and the agents are going to explain it one way, the way they understand it. Okay, but they're not going to be covering the legal aspects of those things because they're not licensed to practice law in the state of California, or not licensed to practice law, period, right? So I think it's important to read those contracts.
And not only that, Alex, may I add that also real estate has a vocabulary of its own. So some of the words that we use, maybe the ordinary layman has never heard those words unless you are practicing real estate. So you always want to get an opinion from a lawyer to kind of put it to you in plain English, like I said before.
Yes, or have that real estate dictionary handy, right?
That's another thing you can do.
Again, give us a call, 855-693-4897. We did get a little bit of a late start today, but you can win a $25 gift card to Stevens Steakhouse in the City of Commerce, compliments of Carlos Cruz in the Downey Chamber of Commerce, or you can win a $200 gift card from Gardens Dental. That's a teeth whitening value at 7218 Garfield Avenue in the City of Bell Gardens. If you call us at 855-693-4897, you have an opportunity to win one of those cards. Mr. Fernando, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How about yourself?
It's funny. I'm pulling into the parking lot and I see this big van, Power Electric, right? I'm thinking, oh, Fernando must be here, because a lot of times when I pull up to the show, I don't know if the guests are here or not. I got to call. Hey, where are you at? Did you find the place, or what's the case? But I knew for sure. Oh, Fernando's here.
Couldn't miss it.
And here I am. I'm never late to the show.
Yeah, right? And now I'm the one usually running in late. At the nick of time. And today now I got a little taste of my own medicine. How it feels to be on the other side waiting for
nothing. And
your co-host.
It was nothing on purpose. Nothing on purpose.
I was this Alex is getting back at me. Huh?
Yeah. No. It was nothing on purpose. I got stuck in traffic. There was a client actually that I had to take care of, and I just fell just a little short of time. I misjudged it by a bit. Yeah. But man, I'll tell you, Woodard Boulevard this time of day is just stopped.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's so many lights coming down Whittier Boulevard, and I was just pretty much stuck in traffic, right? So anyway, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Pantalones. Thank you, Fernando. So you're an electrician. You're a licensed electrician. You work with Power Electric. This is your business, right?
This is my business. Yes.
Right on. And can you give us just a short introduction of yourself?
Sure. I've been doing electrical for the last 15 years. I went to school for electrical. I did my own business. I worked for a few contractors. I am also, besides having my own business, I'm also an electrical instructor at night. I teach 5 days a week for 4 hours a day.
You teach 5 days a week?
5 days a week.
Oh, wow.
So Monday through Friday, I'm out teaching at the college. And
you're teaching electrical work?
Electrical. I'm teaching electrical work to students at night, and in the morning I push my own business. And from time to time, we do a lot of volunteer work, feeding the homeless and stuff like that over in downtown LA.
Wow, wow,
What, you didn't mention any of that during the interview. That's impressive.
what school are you teaching at? May I ask?
Sure, it's called Wild Tech.
Wild Tech.
It's almost like Wyoming technology. So
Okay.
Wild Tech. It's in Long Beach, and
okay.
I've been there 6 years. I started as an instructor, worked my way to management, and I realized that my passion was teaching in the classroom and getting the students motivated. So I nicely step myself back to the classroom, and that's what I do.
Wow,
So,
that's
so on
neat.
top, yeah, on top of being an electrician in the trade, you're also teaching. So that means you're kind of keeping up to date on things. Is there classes now that you have to take as a teacher?
Yes, the code, the electrical National Electrical Code changes every 3 years. There's always changes. There's always improvements, and one must keep up with them to be able to understand what the changes are and how do they apply it to everyday life.
Right on, right on. Do you need a license to be an electrician?
Well, to be an electrician, you can be a couple of things. You can be an electrical trainee. That's an apprentice, if you will. And after 4 years, assuming that you do full-time electrical work, then you have the option of becoming a journeyman. That's a state-driven test exam. If you do pass that exam, it's a 4-hour exam, very intensive. If you pass that exam, then the state provides you a trainee, a journeyman's card, which is recognized by the state. At the same time, you could also apply for a contractor's license. And so at any given time, you can be both a journeyman and a contractor.
And when you are a contractor, you have to specify a specific trade, and one of the trades can be an electrical trade, or is that how the contractor license work? You know?
No, well, for example, as a contractor, my license, the contractor's license for electricians are C10. So if you say a C10, that's an electrical contractor. A C36 may be a roofer or somebody else. A plumber has got his own license number.
So is there a specific license under contracting code for a electrician?
Yes, yes. Yes, there
Okay,
is.
yeah, that's what I was trying to.
Yes. So if somebody, if a person, a student right out of high school wants to do electrical, or anybody in general, they must, by state-driven rules, they must attend a state-certified school.
We're coming up on a break.
Don't touch that mouse. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more real estate rant.
Are you watching the game at home? Why? Come watch it at Mambo Grill, the hottest spot in Downey. You'll have good food, drinks, and a great time at a low price. We have the coldest beer in our sports bar, where you can enjoy the game on any of our huge flat screen TVs. And when your home team wins, you get 25% off anything in Mambo Grill. We're on Downey Avenue, 1 block north of Firestone, or visit us on the web. Mambo Grill, love at first bite.
Do we have your attention? When it comes to tequila, 2 things matter: heart and passion. Never compromising integrity for mass production. Number 1 Tequila delivers the goods. Taste the heart and passion of Mexico in every bottle. We make it right. We make it fun. Superior Tequila. There's only number 1. There's only number 1. There's only number 1.
Been in an accident? Then you need your vehicle professionally repaired. That's exactly what you get when you bring your vehicle to Greg's Auto Body Repair. Free quotes within minutes. We will provide everything you need for a hassle-free auto body repair, from an accurate estimate to working with your insurance company. We will get your vehicle to its pre-accident condition as soon as possible. Greg's Auto Body has been serving Los Angeles County and local cities since 1970. Call us at 562-789-1300.
A home is the biggest investment in most people's lives. Buying or selling should be a positive experience.
Whether you want to be a wealthy real estate investor or just trying to find a place to call home, at AJR & Associates, we focus on the client's needs.
We understand the market better than most. Let us bring the value to you and make the right choice.
AJR & Associates, making your dream house a reality. Call us today for a free consultation at 562-882-1976. Or you can log on to www.hrrealtors.com.
With a track record of great results, bringing knowledge, wisdom, and expertise to you. Hablamos español. Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. And we are back here at the Real Estate Rant, here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. Mr. Alex Alanis and Alonso Rodriguez in-house hosting the show. And in-house today also, we have Mr. Fernando Alvarado, licensed electrician with Power Electric. You can reach him at 562 area code. Thank you, studio audience. 833-7603. Or you can email him at powerelectric1@yahoo.com. That's powerelectric1@yahoo.com. That's yes. If you need an electrician, Mr. Fernando is your man. And Fernando is going to be sharing with us today as a steward of the electrician trade, as well as a teacher now that we just recently discovered. He's going to share with us the electrician view, if you will, of us real estate people, right? And and you know, the first thing comes to mind, Fernando, is what was the very first thing you learned? Say like an electrician 101, right? What was the first thing you learned?
Don't get shocked.
Don't get shot.
Yeah, exactly.
What you can't see, it can kill you.
That's one of those things that you learn without having to go to class, huh? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right on. So there was some commentary as to let's see.
Well, we were. I think we left off in the change how the industry changes from
From time to time.
and how being an instructor and being also an instructor and being in the field, you've seen those changes.
Yeah, you know what really the benefit of my benefit and in essence the students' benefit is that I am in the trenches every day, and what happens, whether from a management standpoint of a project, from a electrical standpoint, I share that with the students, and I let them know that, hey, listen, you're an apprentice, and the jobs are bid based on hourly rates, and if you're taking too long, you're eating up on the profits. We have to be efficient. How do we become efficient? I got to show you, and there's different ways you can show how, an apprentice how to be an effective apprentice.
And as always, like Alex likes to mention, I like to do a little research when I have kids. I want to know what they're talking about.
No, please.
Yes.
I like the fact that we brought up this of how the industry changes, because here I did a little research and it says, all the outlets change from time to time. From the 20s to the 40s, they had what they called was a polarized outlet.
Yes.
And then it changed back in the 40 to grounded outlets, where now it had the 3 holes on it.
Yes.
And then it talked about in the 1970s how the
Wait a minute.
GFIC outlets.
In 1940, they changed to the 3-prong. Because man, I still see the 2-prongers when I go to properties.
60s and 70s, I think it was when they really it took off for the 3-prong.
On my outline it says here on the 40s. I mean, this is mind you, this is it's just research.
Rough research, right?
Yeah, rough research. And then it says like on the 70s, there's actually a law that went by that everywhere where there's water or a kitchen, bathroom, or anywhere outdoors where water was exposed, and you needed the GFCI. Can you explain a little bit of what that does?
To give you a little bit of history, you may remember back in the day, certainly I was, when I was a little kid, walking barefooted to your fridge and you get shocked. And so you want to wear shoes because you don't want to get shocked, right? And so what was going on back in those days is that there was no grounding. The refrigerator was made out of metal. The electronics inside were conductive. They were charged. And if there was a hot conductor touching the shell of the refrigerator, and you were barefooted, you're grounded, you're touching earth, you're touching the moisture, then you go touch the refrigerator door with that, because the refrigerator is charged and you're not, and that difference is what creates the zapping of you. And so after some time, they understood the importance of grounding, and over time, it takes time. And over time, they came up with what I call a smart breaker, a sensitive breaker, and that is what is called a GFCI, a ground fault circuit interrupter. What does that mean? That means that it's almost like a scale, like the old time scales where you have to put 50% on one side, 50% on the other to be leveled. Well, a GFCI, it's measuring how much is putting out and how much is receiving at the same time. anytime it's an imbalance, it will shut itself off. It will assume somebody's getting hurt
And it automatically breaks or I
within
wanna say-
microseconds. Where a regular breaker, let's say a 15 amp or 20 amp breaker, as you typically see at homes, somebody could be getting hurt and the breaker will not react because it hasn't reached 15 amps. It takes probably about a quarter of an amp for us to get to not survive electrical shock. Certainly
So it's an added level of protection.
an
Actually.
added level of protection. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna ask a dumb question, Fernando. You ready for this one? Okay.
No such thing as a dumb question. They're
Okay.
all
Okay.
good
Well,
questions.
I mean, it is kind of dumb because we use light bulbs every day.
That's right.
But how does a light bulb work?
Well, a light bulb is composed of an element that was created back in the Edison days. And what it is it's a small wire that is it's attached to the body of the bulb. And when you twist it onto a socket, one end of the wire is touched on the hot side and the other is touched on the neutral side of the circuit. And when you turn the switch on, the light bulb, the bulb turns on. What is that? It's a small controlled fire. That's really what it is. The heat that is coming out of the typical incandescent light bulb is obsolete now because they're not efficient. They put out light, but they were not efficient. There was a gross polluter, if you will. And so all the heat that it generated was a sign of not being efficient. And so what it is again, it's a small controlled fire inside a glass bulb.
Nice, nice. I want to kind of just take a step back for a second. I mean, I just want to bring that question up because I've always wondered, right? I know that I've seen
the light bulb lit in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Lit up in your head.
That's no joke, I'm not kidding around about that.
That's what they say when the light went on, huh?
Ding, right? That's what you see happening in the cartoons and what have you. But let's take a step back here for a second and let's start with how electricity is created.
Sure. There's a number of different ways that electricity is created. If we go back, back into the 1800s and the early 1900s, traditional electricity was made by water, steam, water pressure. For example, rivers, it's a good source for a generating plant because the pressure of the water turns the turbines, which in essence generates electricity, kind of like a generator in the car, if you will. And then that is somewhat of a cleaner. Kind of a gross polluter would be your nuclear reactors because of all the X-rays and all the other stuff all the stuff that can come out of it if it's something wrong. The latest, which is a lot more, which is what we call green friendly, will be solar powered systems, or even windmills, again driven by the wind. If you're up north in the San Francisco area or towards Palm Springs, those areas are known for a lot of wind.
They're filled with windmills. I remember taking drive
full.
up there and you see a bunch of windmills there. And
In Palm
Yeah.
Springs?
In Palm
When you-
Springs.
in Riverside? Yeah.
Yeah.
going up to Palm
yeah.
Springs, and there's a lot of windmills out there. And
Also on the way going up to San Francisco as well.
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of them. And there's those weird shaped ones. They look like
they're three prong or
no, they're shaped like diamond shaped.
Mm-hmm.
And they turn around in circles, right? I've seen those. They're kind of weird.
so
okay,
now you
so-
know what they're for. I always thought they were just for decoration, like the ones you put in the front of your lawn. They're just really-
Yeah. No,
Yes.
like for example, here, in the LA County in general, solar is predominantly what we use because of the areas, basically the heat. None of there's no sun or heat up there or down in Palm Springs. Certain areas that are studied, and they find that the wind is basically the best driving source. So therefore, they put the wind turbines there because of that area being high.
Right,
in
right now that you're talking, I'm telling you what I'm picturing right now. I'm picturing, a farmhouse with the windmill out there, with the broken, busted blade on the side, and it's kind of squeaking along, and that's what I'm
Wow.
picturing. Or I'm picturing a little cabin that's got the little wheel next to the creek, and the water's moving this wheel. But I mean, obviously, none of us live in those kind of homes, or I
You
shouldn't say
have
none of
qua-
us, but most of us.
You have quite imagination because I'm imagining what was it, Benjamin Franklin flying a kite out there, in the middle of the rain.
with the key. Yeah, exactly. But okay, so now I mean we're modern times now. I mean we're
Right.
talking about you mentioned nuclear power. I mean that's almost going by the wayside now. But
Right.
how does once you get the power, because none of us have these windmills and these water turned turbines, if you will. how does the electricity now get to our homes?
Well, there is generating stations that are located strategically by the Department of Water and Power, and they're either main stations or substations that bring the power. You may see at some parks or along the freeways where you see huge metal towers and huge power lines coming across them. There's a reason why they're so tall, and it's because there's a lot of voltage that is in place on those for them to be able to bring the power from its source all the way to our destination. Now, from there to here, along the way, you have a lot of substations that will step down the power that we all use at home. We get the power from them, and then it goes to a generating station or substation, and it gets distributed to the cities and stuff like that.
Now there's a lot of electrical terms. Some we see all the time. I mean, the high voltage, amperage. There's all these electrical terms. So, can you give me an idea what does that some of that stuff mean? I mean, I know that the electricity has to be managed. So you're talking about getting power. I know I actually worked at the similar converter station, just so you know, for a short period of time, and I know that most of the power here in Southern California comes from Oregon, right? It's being transferred from Oregon here to a converter station, but now how is it managed?
Yeah, well, it's not through amperage. A couple of different ways: amperage, the amps, or the voltage that is how it's transferred. And it's mainly the voltage is the best efficient way. So it may be a couple 100,000 volts to a couple of million volts. High voltage, very, very low amperage. From there, it goes to a substation, if it will. That substation, through a method of transformers and so forth, they'll get the power and they'll step it down to what we need. And then it starts increasing the amperage, which is what we need for us to operate our lights. Or
sort of like in a house, it all goes into the service panel. And from there, the it's all distributed through the meter, I believe. Is that how it works?
It comes to the meter. It's there. The meter is nothing more than a bridge that records how much we use. That's really what the meter is. But yes, it starts with the meter or the breaker box there, and it's almost like a spider web where it goes all over your house and for you to use and stuff like that.
And that's where we're coming back on a break. Let's pay some bills and don't touch that mouse.
Okay.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more Real Estate Rant.
Add some crazy flavor to your vape pen. You're looking for something new and exciting in liquid vapor? Go to Crazy Cloud's e-juice. Find them at burstoflavor.com and try any of the new 12 flavors they have available. Blueberry, mint, raspberry, chocolate, gummy bear, hemp, watermelon, cola, orange, pina colada, coconut, or Red Bully. Call us today at 855-WE-BURST or visit us at burstoflavor.com and order yours today.
The Share Foundation is the health division of the Coy Chiropractic Institute, a 501c3 509A2 public nonprofit organization dedicated to the growth and development of the natural health care services, in particular through the chiropractic profession, offering health services at the Share clinics in the greater Los Angeles area. Your donations can help in expanding these facilities across the nation, research programs, and public education, thus offering a solution to the many of the health challenges we face. Your donations are tax deductible and can be sent through our website at www.sharefoundation.com. That's www.cherfoundation.com by clicking on the donation button. Thank you.
The experts know that for pastry, Baker's Bodega has it all. Exclusive brands like Westco Bank Mart, Satin Ice, and Pastry Pride. One-on-one day seminars for cake decorating and gelatin art. So for our service, wide range of ingredients and supplies, and for the low prices, Baker's Bodega has it all. But you don't need to be an expert. Baker's Bodega, 7869 Paramount Boulevard in Pico Rivera. Come, we're waiting for you.
Hey, bro, this is a good game. You know what would make it better?
What, bro?
A michelada.
A michelada? What's a michelada?
A michelada is somewhere in the middle of a Mexican Bloody Mary and a Mexican margarita.
Oh, I got you covered, bro.
You got a cup in your pocket?
No, sir. I got my pocket-sized michelada. Mucho macho michelada.
Pocket size?
Pocket size, so you can take it with you anywhere you go.
Where'd you get that at?
At the nearest convenience store, and you can also buy it at muchomachomichelada.com.
You know what would make it better? After we get drunk, if they had a line we could call.
We can call their drunk line. You can leave a message and then log on to the site and listen to your stupidity afterwards.
What's that number?
It's 855 Nietzsche 69.
What's that number again?
855 MICHE 69.
Awesome. Mucho macho michelada.
What's up, guys? Sports Guru
and Bud Knocker
from the Sportscast, Wednesdays, 12 to 2 Pacific on Rant Radio Network.
We got everything you need to know about sports. We got all the latest video highlights. We got You Got Knocked the Fuck Out. We got Bonehead of the Week. We're talking sports, drinking beer, and having a good time.
If you missed the show, go to rantradionetwork.com and listen on demand. So check us out every Wednesday, 12 to 2 on Rant Radio Network.
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. And we are back here at the Real Estate Rant. Mr. Alex Alanis and Mr. Alonso Rodriguez, your host of our show today here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. And I did want to say here at the Real Estate Rant, we purport ensuring the public trust, no problems, just solutions. And we would like you to call in at 855-693-4897. And if you happen to have a real estate problem that's not a topic of the show, give us a call, and we'll try and cover that during the show.
Or even a dumb question like Alex just said right now, huh?
Did I say dumb question?
No, yeah. Well, earlier you on our show, I got like a dumb question.
Well, that was me. Okay, I don't want to say everybody's got a dumb question.
I just want to add no questions too dumb to answer.
All right. Well, actually, I think it was an informative answer as to it's a controlled fire. And that's interesting to know. Even though nowadays most of the bulbs are becoming fluorescent, and then there's this new type of bulb, the
LEDs and stuff like that. You know, the like again the incandescent bulb as we kind of grew up with, they generated a lot of heat, and that heat is energy lost really. They were bright, but they were also gross polluters as far as electricity goes. And so there was a rule saying that they had to be obsoleted and new technology had to come in. And slowly the fluorescent light bulbs took over, and they gotten a lot better than before. They're a lot sharper. The color rendering is a lot better.
Do those save energy, or what is the purpose of those?
They save energy. They certainly save energy. Let's say back in the day we had a 100 watt light bulb, and you're ceiling in the middle of a room, my room. You take that off and you put a 50 watt fluorescent that will give you the same amount of lighting. So now your light bulbs are measured in watts, and so let's say what used to be a regular incandescent bulb was a 100 watt bulb up there. You can take that off and put a 50 watt fluorescent light bulb, give you the same amount of power.
Now, are those fluorescent lightings considered the CFLs? Or
yes.
Those are CFLs, or is that something different?
What is a CFL anyway?
A CFL is because it's a compact fluorescent light bulb.
Oh, okay.
In other words, a short bulb is not very long or stubby.
So if I'm texting it, it's CFL.
So those are the bulbs. Those are the bulbs that you always get, like where they have the energy efficient ones that are kind of like squirrely or
little spaghettis.
Yeah, they're not necessarily attractive, but yeah, they're a little squirrely. The compact fluorescent light bulbs, their place is in the recessed lights, any type of light that is kind of small in length or size. Other than that, you go with the standard fluorescent light bulb, which are a little bit longer. But if you have a recessed light, then you put the CFLs, which is compact fluorescent light bulb.
Yeah, and those always seem to annoy me. I've always thought they were not bright enough. I guess now with the new technology, they do light up a room. I've always
I can tell you the problem right there. I can tell you the problem. It's because you're buying them at the dollar store and they're only 40 watts.
Oh, okay. So I was getting them free.
You got to buy the 100 watt.
I was getting them free. The city was giving them out one time.
About the bottom of the barrel.
Hello there, Mr. Mike. How are you, sir? How are you? Real quick, I got another question that you may not know the answer, but this is something now in real estate that we deal with. I came across a property one time out in the mountains, and it wasn't on the grid, and the lender would not lend on the property. Have you ever come across that where you maybe had to retrofit or bring in electricity into a property?
Sure. Yeah. There's some times where some areas that incorporated, for example, in Riverside, some areas that my brother lives over in the city, and so up in the mountains they didn't have electricity. So either he had to get a generator, to a portable generator to much like the hospitals where you generate the power there, or bring install a panel and get Edison to install a power pole nearby where they can bring power into my brother's panel.
Now talking about these houses out in the mountains, it kind of reminds me of when some of those houses are very similar to the ones I see in South Central, right? So you go into some of these houses and they got those little glass screw-in deals. Is that what that is?
That's a fuse. It's certainly 80-year-old technology.
80 years old?
I don't know about
Have
that,
you seen
Alex,
those?
but every time I was going to South Central, all I remember is the light bulbs were broken. The light bulbs were broken and full of smoke, and I don't know what they were doing with those broken light bulbs.
They're dealing with candlelight. Right on. So anyway, they're glass fuses or glass.
It's a fuse. It's basically it's something like a car fuse, but this is just a little bit bigger and it's made out of glass.
Now this is something we don't see nowadays. I mean,
No, that technology has been obsolete for maybe 50, 60 years. And we went away from fuses, glass fuses, and we switched over to a what is called a slip-on breaker. It's a spring-loaded clip or a spring-loaded mechanism that slides into the panel, and those are a lot safer. And the panels have gotten also bigger in size, obviously, because as time's gone by, electronics in the homes are a lot more.
Yeah,
Therefore,
that's one of the major
Everything's
problems.
plugged in.
That's one of the major problems we acquire as real estate agents when we're showing homes and they have a small electric panels.
Yes.
They're usually homes built in the 1940s, and
Right.
they still have very small. What is it?
the
Panels, electrical
Panels,
panels,
and that's when you see the,
and,
the power strips with all the
yeah,
the
and
more power
nowadays,
strips off of that.
nowadays you need, just one of those small service panels just for your TV system.
Right. But I mean, it gives you an idea how long, even though the panel was small, how long did it last? And that's something that anybody who needs to have a new panel installed at their house, they need to understand that, okay, who's ever going to install your panel, fine, but you need to make sure that they install the right panel for now, but also for the next 50 years. In other words, you want to grow with that panel because as electronics change and improve and get new stuff, you want to be able to have the panel capable of adding more power as the years go by.
And talking about some of those older technologies, should we be concerned now when we walk into a property that's got the old glass fuses and that kind of thing in terms of the wiring?
Sure, a couple of things. The wiring in itself, if just in general, if you see fuse boxes, you're likely going to have old wiring. And when we say old wiring, is a very thin wiring. Back in the day, we didn't have the toaster ovens, the blenders, and all the other fancy stuff we have now. So therefore, the amount of electricity they needed was very low. Therefore, the wire wasn't as thick. One. The other one is the insulation in itself. If you think of the last 60, 70 years or 80 years that the wire has been there, is seeing a lot of heat and a lot of cold, and both of them degrade the wire over time. The wire insulation becomes brittle, and if you move the wire, if you look at it too hard, it could break the insulation, creating a short, creating a fire possibly. So when I go to people's homes that have original wiring, we have a conversation about the potentials of that wire being brittle and the insulation falling off and additional work needed.
We talked a little bit about GFCI. What is AFCI?
AFCI it stands for arc fault circuit interrupter, and what that is, the breaker is again what I would at this point consider a smart breaker. It knows that there is an arc happening. Let's say that you were ironing and you unplugged it with the iron on. The next time you use the iron, you're gonna go plug it in. The system will recognize that is a basic arc. That is not what the AFCI's interest is. What the AFCI interest is in the bigger arc. It's almost when the hot conductor and the neutral wire touch. That is
You're not flipping me off there.
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
and those are outlets you were talking about, or
Well, it's a breaker.
Oh, it's a
a
breaker.
breaker that is the AFCI. It's a breaker type located in a panel, and so when the hot conductor comes in contact with the ground or with the neutral wire, which in case the neutral wire is what helps make the circuit with the hot conductor, um, it will keep it from creating a spark, and that spark is critical because that spark it's a fire.
Yeah.
And so we what do we have in there? We have lint, we have dust, we have curtains, we have
Is
pillows.
insulation is that flammable also, the insulation, or
It's flammable, but the later ones are fire retardant.
Okay.
But the earlier ones,
So
they
that
may
Pink
not.
Panther stuff?
no, they're back in
The
the
Pink
old days
Panther.
when you're talking about when you were talking about the brittle wiring and the small wiring in old homes. I mean, we didn't have that kind of insulation back then. It was just like powder. It was just bunch of sprayed stuff, and
I think Fernando's talking about the insulation on the wire.
yeah, he was talking about
Yeah.
insulation on the wire, but it brought to my mind because if you crawl up on those attics, you see those up on the attics, and the insulation's all brittle, but then also you have that powder insulation, and I've always thought, was that flammable? Was that
Certainly flammable. That insulation's been there forever. Any moisture has been gone for a long time, and so the wire it was originally built. The insulation was built with some type of that material they used to build the streets, the black stuff. What do you call it?
asbestos, or I mean
asphalt?
asphalt?
Asphalt stuff. Yeah.
Oh, the slurry?
The slurry stuff, yeah. And so on the outside of the slurry, there's a material, a cloth-like protector. But then again, over 40, 50, 60 years, a lot of heat, certainly in the attics, you can generate easily 120, 130 plus degrees. And so after a while, that material is going to degrade. And if you move it a little bit, well, that just, increases the ability of it breaking and arcing, and then you got that white stuff that is sitting there just ready to go. And besides just the insulation stuff, you also have people that will store stuff up there. Any newspaper that's you store for a week or a month up there, it becomes very, very dry, just waiting for a spark.
Fire waiting to happen.
Exactly. One of the things that we talked about is when the power is coming into a property, whether or not it's a pull or a give. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. We talk about okay. So when we have our panel at home, you said, okay, is this the right panel for my house, or my panel it's breaking or something like that. Our appliances pull. They pull what they need. So when you turn the TV on, the TV is pulling whatever amperage it needs to operate. When you shut it off, in general, it pulls very, very little to keep a couple of LEDs and a couple of things going. But it's a pull system. So you're like your washer at home, your dishwasher or your clothes washer. It's only going to pull what it needs and nothing more. Everything's regulated, and so the breaker box after a while may become obsolete by how much electronics we have at home, not because just the fact that it's old.
And
Go ahead.
I pulled up actually a very interesting chart where actually says how much distribution is distributed with regarding where all your electrical goes, and it says here
Please
that
share it with us. Alonso.
it says here that we'll all share it after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more real estate rant.
Looking for a delicious, fresh family meal that's ready when you are and easy on your budget? Welcome to Piara Pizza. We make our pizzas with handmade dough, 100% real cheese, and tomato sauce blended with our own spices. Nothing is ever frozen. We always have large pepperoni and cheese pizzas fresh and waiting for you for only $5. Or choose one of our specialty pizzas. We have veggie, meat lovers, supreme, and Hawaiian. Add an order of our amazing hot wings, cheesy bread, or breadsticks. Our locations are ultra modern, ultra clean, and open 7 days a week. Visit any one of our locations today, or check us out on the web at www.piarapizza.com. Piara Pizza. Fresh, hot, and ready for you when you come in. Stop in for your Piara Pizza today.
ProTech Carpet Tile and Care provides professional cleaning services for carpet, tile, grout, upholstery, and fine area rugs.
ProTech technicians are professionally trained and certified cleaning and restoration experts.
We specialize in restoring damage caused by heavy soil and odor.
We can remove challenging spots such as coffee, tea, ink, gum, wine, and many more.
We have saved our customers thousands of dollars on new flooring and furniture expenses with our advanced cleaning processes.
Call for a free estimate at 562-447-4300 and visit us on our website, www.myprotectsite.com.
Hey, this is Joe Perez, owner at Protect. Just reminding you that Protect Carpet and Tile Care is your professional choice.
What's wrong?
I can't stop craving a cigarette. I just quit. Hey, what are you smoking on?
Oh, this? Best e-juice on the planet. Burst of flavor, of course.
What's that?
Only the best alternative to smoking with a great flavor. It has a burst of flavor in every puff.
Well, does it have nicotine?
It comes in different levels, including 0. They have 20 flavors and more coming. All the products are made in the U.S. Check them out at www.burstoflavor.com or call them at 855-WE-BURST.
Hey, let's burst together.
It's not just flavor, it's an experience. Cigarettes, you've met your match.
Looking for some swag? Make sure to check out monsterclothing.com. They got everything from v-necks, t-shirts, hoodies, baby dolls. And remember, custom orders are always welcome and much more. They're just not on the site yet. www.monsterclothingco.com or call them at 888-49-MONSTER. 888-49-MONSTER. Hablamos español. Doo-doo-doo!
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. And we are back here at the Real Estate Rant. Mr. Alex Alanis and Mr. Alonso Rodriguez here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. Station identification, you can give us a call at 855-693-4897, or you can email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com. Alonso will check the emails after the show, and we'll get to your questions on the next show, which is every Wednesday at 3:30. You can watch us here, TV, audio and video feed on www.rantradionetwork.com. And I think if you pull it up on Google, it says iRant Radio. I'm not sure where that is, but that's where you can watch the show
For another hour, the most informative hour that you'll be listening to, right, Alex?
well, I'll be honest with you. I listen to other real estate shows, and they talk about the rate and the financial market and how the environment of the current economy is and all that stuff. Blah blah blah. I'll be honest with you. As a real estate agent, I really don't care about any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I want to know about what we're talking about. Because when we go to a property, these are questions that come up. Now, granted, I'm not a professional electrician and I'm not a professional roofer or anything like that. But I can say, here, give Fernando a call. You can call him at 562-833-7603. Give Fernando a call.
Or
right?
watch our show or watch our previous recording.
Yeah, you can go onto the network website, and you can click onto any of the shows. Whether to talk about escrow, we've had a chimney sweep on, we've had a carpet cleaner, and the list goes on. Boy, I've even forgot how many people we've had on the show. We've been doing it over a year now, right? Have a big library of information from different people, and I would say every single show that we've had, I've learned something. Every single show that's like, wow, I never knew that. And now talking with you, I learned a lot of stuff during the interview, and we were kind of laughing a little bit there at the break. I was talking about when sometimes I go into I used to do appraisals. I used to walk into people's properties, and you spoke a little bit about all these additional electronics, if you will, and then you have these.
But right before that, may I cut you off?
Yeah,
Alex?
go ahead.
I was about to explain how the power is distributed amongst your the household. May I add?
Well, it's funny though, because what they're doing now is they're using the power strips, and you got like 50 wires plugged into this power strip.
Well, before I lose my train of thought, let me just share my circle that I did so much work and research for. Right?
Your pie graph. Okay, no, I apologize. Okay, go ahead.
How much energy is distributed between my home? And it says here that heating takes up 34% of that. And then your refrigerator, it's only 8% of the electrical it's using up. Your air conditioner is 11%. The water heating, 13%. And what takes up the most is your appliance and lighting, which is another 34%.
So when it talks about appliance, you said refrigerator, so I was looking at a major appliance.
Like, I don't know why they have that separate, but they have they have refrigerator as a separate unit, 8% of that.
Maybe they're talking about TV or something. TVs.
It says appliances and lighting, 34%.
Computer.
Well, I mean, certainly the appliance and lighting is it's probably the most obvious because we have lights going on and once it gets dark and all the way through. And the appliances that we use, well, toaster oven, microwave and all the stuff that we use day in, day out to cook and get ready for bed or late at night. It's what we use predominantly. Now, when they talk about refrigerators, well, back in let's say 20, 30 years ago, if you have a refrigerator that is 20, 30 years old, those are gross polluters. They suck up a lot of electricity. How much? Anywhere from 8 to 9 amps. That's a lot of power consumed, which means your bill is high.
Well, I remember seeing like at Home Depot for some time, they were selling these green plugs that would regulate the power going to your refrigerator. But now the new refrigerators come with that already installed.
Yeah, they have the what's called the Energy Star, Efficiency Star. It's an approval by Edison. That means that the design of the refrigerator is maximized, and instead of pulling 8 or 9 amps, it's only going to be consuming 3 or 4 amps, which is very, very good.
And I remember back in the days, I mean, when I was growing up as a kid, I remember Edison had a program where, you would give your refrigerator, your gross polluters, you would give them, and they would give you credit on a new refrigerator that was that star efficient energy, I don't know, green products.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it did that now.
we walk into a house now, there's a microwave, a refrigerator, a dishwasher, a trash compactor, a garbage disposal, everything electronic you can think of there, a blender, a food processor, the list goes on. And the breaker keeps tripping.
Right.
I mean, what do you just get a bigger breaker?
No, getting the bigger breaker is probably about the worst thing we can do. We have to understand that the breaker is tripping for a reason. Going back there and just turning the breaker on often, it creates a couple of problems. One is the breaker is degrading. The breaker is there to protect the wiring in the house. And so typically the breaker will trip because we have a lot of equipment or a lot of appliances in one circuit. Overloading the circuit implies tripping the breaker. So when the breaker trips, it's doing its job. It's telling you, hey, listen, I'm being overloaded. I'm tripping. That's really what happens.
No pun intended, right?
Right?
I'm tripping.
So it's not a good idea to put a bigger ampage breaker on there.
No, putting a bigger breaker on the same circuit would no longer protect the wire. The breaker protects the wire, and so putting a bigger breaker there would leave the wire to potential fire.
So it's just going to set up an insurance claim for a fire damage.
Yeah, exactly.
In your home.
Right.
You mentioned now, okay, so in those situations, there's a couple things you can do. The actual appliances now that you're using, you mentioned something about buying particular kinds of appliances.
Yeah, energy savers. You go to the store, any store it's got the Energy Star, and those are energy efficient. And so, yeah, we can go buy those and install them, and certainly you will see a lower bill at the end of the month. But we still haven't, perhaps we still haven't fixed the root cause or the root problem. And the root problem is, even though we have more efficient, energy efficient appliances, we still may be overloading the circuit.
And that's when we know it's time to get a bigger service panel with more breakers, or
no? That's when we need a licensed electrician will need to come over, evaluate the circuits that you have in the house, and perhaps the panel that you have may be still good enough.
You can add more.
Just add more circuits to your kitchen. That way, you may have spread out your circuits and you can run more appliances.
And when you say add more circuit, that means you're going to put a new breaker goes in, and then you wire the new outlets that service that breaker is gonna
right. So let's say that you have a microwave. Microwave draws about 12 to 13 amps, and that's a lot. And so what do? We install a new breaker. We draw a new line from the breaker box to the location where the microwave will be, and so therefore that line will be dedicated for the microwave. So whenever you want to use a microwave, it's dedicated for that itself.
Okay, so that means running new lines and
Running new lines,
new outlets, and
right?
new everything.
Exactly.
There was a couple of recommendations that you would give to a homeowner. Some things that you, when you go out to your jobs, you see, and you would like a lot of homeowners to do to help protect themselves. You mentioned one of the things that they should do is label their breakers.
Yeah, the one of the biggest things that I see out there is the labeling in the panel is obsolete or it's not existent. And that's a big problem because when things go wrong, or you want to shut off a breaker to a specific location, in general, you don't know what you're shutting off or where you're shutting off because nothing's labeled. You're kind of guessing. And that's okay, but the better way to go would be to maybe not guess and label. It's something we can do. As homeowners, we can take our time and get a little Sharpie and some stickers, and little by little go and maybe have a little portable light or radio, plug it in, and figure out when you shut this breaker, what is just shutting off inside the house. That way we can keep track of what's going on.
And that's what we never do, as homeowners, because I've got a new circuit panel installed and it's not labeled. So when something bounces and it's not labeled, I don't know what it is, and I'm switching all the switches into that appliance comes back on. And it was kind of funny to me because yesterday I was watching a show on YouTube about wiring new electric panels, and they showed the contractor went in there and he cut off he was installing a new panel, so he cut up all the how can I say, all the lines coming into the breakers. And when he connected it, it was funny to me because he connected it all up and he goes, and now the homeowner, now it's your job to go ahead and find out what they're for. And I'm like, that's the most annoying
Yikes.
stuff.
Yeah, that's a big issue out there. Let's say that your breakers are tripping in the house, and you say, I think I need a new panel. That's a misconception. You may not need a new panel. You just need to have maybe the circuits realigned in your house, so you can still keep the panel that you have if it's still adequate enough to do whatever you got to do. Now, you can get a new panel, but if you get a new panel, doesn't mean magically all your electrical inside is going to be fixed.
Real quick, Fernando, we're coming up on the end of the show. We got about 2 minutes left. Quick story about some incident that happened with you. Something funny that happened. I thought it was funny anyway, but she probably didn't think it was that funny.
At the moment, she didn't think it was funny. Well, I was doing a job, Torrance, and every time I leave when it's still daylight. But at night, the lights would flicker, and I was rewiring the house, so it didn't make any sense that they were flickering. But the third night, fourth day, I was about to leave, and that's when the lady told me, "Hey, my lights are flickering." And I said, "Well, that's kind of weird." So as we spoke, then it got dark, and as sunset set in, then I noticed the flickering. So then I pulled back in the driveway. I went back into the panel. By this time, it was already dark, and I couldn't see anything obvious. So I looked behind the meter. And there's like sparkling going on, right? Well, what's going on is a wire was loose and it was kind of catching on fire. Well, I needed to let the lady know, so I wanted to bring her, and I explained to her that inside back there was a wire that was loose and needed to be fixed by Edison. And before I even finished talking, she stuck her hand in the panel and she was touching. Her hand was clearly moving in there. And she caught me off guard so fast. I wasn't expecting her to put the hand in there. I just overreacted and I slapped her hand down, just because I didn't know what else to do. I mean, it wasn't her day to go because she didn't get shocked, but she looked at me like, "What the hell am I doing to her?"
Well, the danger there too is if she was getting electrocuted and you touched her, you would be in the same boat.
At the same boat. I mean, that's a classic example.
And you knowing what's going to happen if you touch her, you're probably going to let her get fry alone.
Sorry, Charlie. Get your tortillas, right? Well, Fernando, thanks for joining us, man. I think it's been a good show today. Very informative. I would like to have you back sometime because, believe it or not, I think we went through half of our outline today. And you are listening to Real Estate Rant here with Alex and Alonso.
Make sure you tune in for Indy 104.
By Mr. Pantalones.
Thanks for tuning in to Real Estate Rant Radio. Make sure to join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on the Rant Radio Network, where we talk about solutions to your real estate problems. The views and opinions expressed by the host or any guest on this show are encouraged to be followed up by a professional tax advisor or attorney,
as we are not qualified or authorized to give advice in two areas, legal matters and tax matters.